Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jim Patterson with EPM Live, the latest in our webinar series today, the topic being EPM Live for professional services and professional services automation. We want to combine best-of-breed project and work management, which we're traditionally known for, with powerful CRM tools to really handle the end-to-end needs of a professional services organization. The topics we're going to cover today are going to give you an overview of EPM Live and what it is that we do in total beyond what you may be familiar with us for. We're also going to talk about how we effectively connect both project teams from a project management perspective and sales teams from the upfront process of the way services work comes into an organization. We're also going to talk about CRM and sales tools that we provide right in EPM Live for you. And also we're going to talk about an exciting new innovation that we have on an integration with Salesforce.com to leverage the best of all worlds. We are going to give you a demonstration of all that live in the software, and then we'll wrap it up with some benefit summaries and some closing topics. So let's go give you a little bit of an overview about EPM Live today. For those of you that are not familiar with us, we are a global leading PPM, which is Project Portfolio Management and Work Management platform that really revolutionizes the way people do work in their organizations. We do this based upon our vast experience in the consulting realm in project and portfolio and extending that to work management. We've been doing that since 1999. And what we're offering, what we're going to tout today, is our pre-built solution apps that are easy to install from our application marketplace, meaning that you can get these solutions up quick, ready to go, though they are configurable so that you can tailor them to the unique needs of your organization. Also, we provide them in either an online SaaS or subscription online model, or as an on-premise solution that you can install in your own SharePoint farm as a SharePoint-based solution on your own servers. We've had rapid adoption of our different technologies and solutions over the recent years, so we're very pleased about that. So we have a lot of runtime out there in the marketplace with people using our solutions, including ourselves. We actually use our own solutions to actually manage our business. So part of the concept that we want to address today is this concept of disconnected systems and processes. Typically in organizations today, when you have different types of work, different types of processes, people implement either departmentally or business unit-wise or discipline-wise different systems, different processes, different databases, different silos of information that people have to go to in order to participate in all dimensions of what the business is up to. Traditionally, in this example, where customer relationship management may be handled in a totally separate application from your project management application and from any other type of management tools that you may be doing in the organization. And what that means is getting those to dovetail, to synchronize, and to work smoothly together becomes a very manual, if not daunting, challenge in order to make that work, if you can make that work at all to some degree. What we do with EPM Live, or right in a SharePoint environment, is to really let you take as broad or as narrow a definition of work as makes sense for you and your organization. Whether they be traditional project management with waterfall projects, whether it be product development, software development with more agile, iterative methodologies, whether it be operational work, more the unplanned work requests and things that come through, as well as the upfront things that on the intake side of things. And from a professional services organization perspective, that could mean leads and opportunities and proposals, things that are being evaluated by your potential clients, and really where the projects are choosing you when you get signed contracts. So the idea that upfront sales process is very important as the upfront piece, which then turns into projects and other work elements that have to be managed from that perspective as well. So you can take as broad or as narrow a definition of this as you'd like within the EPM Live solution. We mentioned our pre-built solutions. We have a lot of different pre-built solutions that handle the different nuances and variations of traditional work. Project, portfolio, and work management have common threads, but depending on the vertical industry you're in, the nature of the work that you do, the business unit, the tact or the approach you take to that, or the emphasis of that may be different depending on where you're at in the organization. And we have pre-built solutions for different audiences that can be deployed for different constituencies or communities within an organization. And we do this very easily and very quickly for you. Also, depending on your role in these project and work management processes, you may desire a different user experience, or even the tools that you work in may be different depending on the role that you have. So in this not a one-size-fits-all theme, different roles can have different points of emphasis and a different user experience within our solution to help them have a more targeted user experience for what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. At the end of the day, you can do all of this and address different areas of an organization. If you have all of these many disciplines, we can cover it all right within the EPM Live solution. So let's just say we want to tackle all these different work types and all these elements of work within an organization. So we have pre-built work features and templated work features that you can start with that are ready to go. You could actually start working with from day one. But then again, they are also configurable. So if you want to add nuance like your work process methodology, your nomenclature, your categorizations, and other metadata that you might want to put around these things, that's all something that's within the purview of the customer, but it's only incremental configuration. You don't have to build this stuff from the ground up like you do with many solutions. Now, we talked about different applications and different pre-built apps. You as an organization may be single-focused, but if you're multiple-focused, you may want to add to your traditional project portfolio management and your new product development. There may be professional services that need to be managed in their own discipline and method, but still be visible and part of the overall workflow process within your solution. The idea is that we bring all these things together so that even if you have different needs for different audiences, we can still bring that all together from an execution, from a visibility, and from a reporting perspective so that we can execute all these different types of work under one umbrella. Also part of what we're going to talk about today is that though we do not require it, we do have the ability to bring integration to the mix with other best-of-breed solutions, things that you may already have in place. Today we're going to focus on our integration that we've developed with Salesforce or Salesforce.com to augment that, should that be something that we want to leverage and take advantage of. At the end of the day, as a SharePoint-based solution, we talked about the silos and disconnected processes and data. People have traditionally bought standalone solutions and actually keep adding silos for different needs and different types of work. Our value proposition really is that all the things that you would expect to find in these standalone solutions and capabilities, we want to offer to you as just an incremental addition to your existing SharePoint environment, or if you're online with us, to your existing solution. The idea is that you don't have to be disconnected any longer. So let's talk about connecting projects and sales teams and what we mean by that. People know us maybe primarily and traditionally for PPM, project and portfolio management. And there's a certain life cycle or flow to that type of scenario where you collect work demand, you analyze which things you might want to work on, you select projects, then when you actually determine what you're going to work on, you plan those projects, you track them and put progress against them, you analyze those, and then you go through a cycle over and over and over again as you go through the entire in-flight process of a project. And you do this over and over again for the various projects that come into the mix. And we do that very well. That was our original roots when we started as a company, but we quickly grew beyond that. So if you're using those types of things and those types of methodologies, let's just say we want to combine sales and projects. So you have your traditional project and portfolio management process and cycles that are going on. But in a professional services organization, for example, on the upfront side of that, you have really all of these other things that happen before these things even become projects or business for you. For example, you get leads, things that are promising that you can pursue to make your pitch to become the provider for prospective customers or clients. Those leads, should they show promise and get qualified, will become opportunities. Those opportunities then get to be managed and go through a process progressively as you get closer and closer to the end line and potentially get a contract with those folks. As you go on through this process, you establish account relationships. Some of them may be prospect relationships, some of them may be customer relationships as they close. But at the end of the day, ultimately, in a professional services organization, if they become an active account, there's going to be some type of services project that's going to come out of that. And that's where this stuff really dovetails. Obviously, in a professional services organization, there's expenses and time to collect and invoices to be made. Those things are all the purview of a traditional PSA or CRM solution. What we want to do, and what we do now, is bring these two worlds together. Meaning, if you think about on the left here, the PSA realm, you can actually work through the upfront process from end to end until we're successful in garnering a contract. And then, when that is successful, we can then turn those into projects to add to our portfolio and work through them through the normal execution method from a task, resource, and other deliverable process. At the end of the day, what we're doing here is we're really combining the needs of both sales teams and project teams into one continuum. For example, sales teams may work in the PSA or CRM type of sales-oriented world as they want, but may have need for visibility into project information to see how their customers are doing. And project teams need to know what was promised and know what they have to deliver on and be able to provide status on an ongoing basis, but they're maybe living in a more of a project management-oriented scenario. So let's talk about CRM and sales tools that are actually in EPM Live. As I had mentioned, we do a lot of things on our own within our solution itself, and we're going to focus on that first. EPM Live Professional Services solution is something that's available in our application marketplace, ready for download by our existing customers. And really, our professional services solution really supports you managing your unique project management challenges for your services organization, but also, as the graphic depicted on the prior slide, really help you manage engagements from end to end, from the opportunity to the quote to the sale, and then close it out with robust cost, resource, and project management overall throughout the entire process. If you look at our professional services automation app that you can actually implement from our application marketplace, these are the types of things that are included with that. We have the ability to capture expense reports and total expenses. We actually drive leads and opportunities and accounts, manage your sales contacts, capture and have a repository for all your quotations and proposals. As these things become active, we can start tracking orders and invoices to go out and bill and get paid. Any sales documents around those things that we need to actually have reference to are available in there. Ability to do charge codes so that you can slice data the way you'd like to, both from a cost and effort perspective. And then a various amount of reporting and dashboards that are available to you right out of the box. So if you're familiar with our application marketplace, which you can get to from our website and go into apps, or just go into apps.epmlive.com, there's a whole slew of applications, whether they're bundled or single applications, that are available to you. And the professional services automation piece is in there for you to actually explore. On the integration side of things, Salesforce.com, or Salesforce as it's commonly referred to now, is a leader, or if not the leader, in CRM systems, supporting Salesforces all across the world. Primarily a SaaS-based solution that is an online solution in the cloud. Even though EPM Live provides a number of things that you can do right within our solution from a CRM and a sales perspective, Salesforce.com is recognized as a best-of-breed application in the CRM world, where EPM Live is one of the best-of-breed PPM and work management solutions that are out there in the marketplace. For folks that have both of those things in place, or thinking about having both of them in place, our idea is to be able to bring those together and share information between the two with a ready-to-go out-of-the-box integration. So, for example, if we add EPM Live and Salesforce together, EPM Live really is the engine for project portfolio and work management. in that top slide, the question marks means Salesforce really knows nothing about that information. It knows nothing about the projects. It knows nothing about the costs and the resource management and those things around it. It does a really good job of what it does on the sales side of things and on the CRM type of side of things. But EPM Live really needs to be the engine to provide that information. So we add the project and portfolio dimension to Salesforce. So things like costs and resources and budgets and issues and tasks and timesheet information and actuals, we actually share that information with Salesforce, and Salesforce actually shares information from the CRM realm with us. The key there is if you have different organizations or units, for example, your sales organization versus your project delivery or services organization, depending on who you are, you may live in one tool or the other. So, for example, a Salesforce may actually live in Salesforce. And so to be able to get project information, instead of having to jump in and out of solutions to get different pieces of information, being able to give that access to that information and capabilities to those folks in the tool that they normally live in is a convenience, and it provides a lot of efficiencies for the user. So the application marketplace, we have over 75 apps out there in our marketplace today, and we'll give you some information later on how to do that. But we have a professional services automation app that's out there ready to go, as well as the Salesforce app that provides the integration that we're going to talk about today. So those are just some concepts that we wanted to get to you before we actually get into the demonstration of the solution. All right. Here we are in a user's home page in EPM Live. We mentioned the concept of communities. In here, for example, you might have a projects community, a sales community, a billing community, other things like that where different audiences based on permissions and security can be given access to different types of information. Here in EPM Live, you may be used to seeing us in a more project and portfolio management realm, much like you'd see right here in the projects community, where things are all about portfolios and projects and tasks and issues and resources and other reports around that, and have a roster of projects that are potentially being worked on and ones that are actively being executed. But in the sales side of things, if you go into a sales community, you'll see more menu items and data that are familiar to more of a CRM and sales-oriented type of approach. For example, managing your leads, managing your accounts, contacts, opportunities, quotes, documents, a pipeline dashboard, and reports around those that are more applicable to doing that type of work. So for example, if we go into, say, the leads area, now here's Steve, he has a bunch of active opportunities that he's tracking from a sales perspective. So he has a list of the things of where he's at and what state that they're in, and can drill into any one of these at any given point in time. He may have actionable things on his work, like opportunities that need following up on, or issues that he has to resolve, and other things like that that are put on his plate and made visible to him, as well as the ability to make comments and have a comment stream in a more Facebook or social media-like fashion to participate in this with other folks. But if we take this kind of one aspect at a time, we could be looking at leads here within this solution, and leads that come in from whatever it is, from your website, from trade shows, from your direct sales efforts, whatever they might be. Leads can come in, and actually you can track all the things you'd like to around these leads right from within EPM Live. So for example, the data that might be applicable to those things is like who owns it, what status is it, has it been disqualified, is there a rating, is there a lead source, who's the primary contacts that you have to get to in this lead, who are we working with, what's the categorization and size of this company, and how do you classify those, where are they located, and they're just general lead status. This information is provided to you out of the box from EPM Live, but if you have other data you'd like to capture around your leads as they come into you, you can actually add those elements or those fields in here as you see fit. Now, leads, as you qualify those things, are eventually going to become opportunities. So for example, if I go in and select a lead here and say, this is qualified, it's going to become an opportunity, we actually built in workflows into this solution that allows you to convert a lead into an opportunity. More so than that, as you notice, there was contact information, there was information about the company, there was information about the opportunity itself or the lead itself. we have built-in workflows that will actually take that singular lead record and actually break it out and create an account record, a contact record, and now an opportunity record in here. So on an automated basis, by saying convert to opportunity, it now promotes this into a realm where you now have an account for a proposed client, where the relevant contacts are now been created, and the opportunity is there that we can track and progress as we go on through the sales cycle. So in that regard, when accounts get created, those accounts are created right here. So the idea being is that you might have prospects that were from leads that are now in a sales cycle, and it's time to start tracking them as an account, even though they may or may not sign a contract with us. We still want to track them as a potential account that we've worked with and dealt with through a sales cycle. From a contact perspective, any of the contacts that we work with that come out of these leads, and we can actually view these in a variety of different ways. We can group them by account, we can group them by location, whatever it is, we can have as many different views of these types of information as we want. And then the opportunities that get created as part of those leads are then listed here. So the idea is I can look at all the opportunities on my plate and track their status and provide updates to those at any given point in time. But the nice part about this from a customer professional services perspective is we can track all this stuff back to accounts. For example, if I look at a particular account like SharePoint Communications, we've got a concept in EPM Live, and some of you may be familiar with this in our newer versions of our project solution, is this concept of associated items. Notice the associated items we can have with an account. We can have other accounts that are associated with us. We could have invoices, issues, leads, opportunities, orders, projects, quotes, sales contacts. Anything that we want to track that might be affiliated with this account, we can actually, through association, actually track all these things in a very easy fashion. For example, if I was going to go look at invoices, what invoices do we have out there for SharePoint Communications? We can see that there's an invoice that's been created for that, but we can also see that it's been paid. And we can go in and drill into that invoice at any given point in time and take a look at it. Security can be put on to make sure that only certain people can see the things you want them to see. But the idea, the forms-based invoicing, orders, and other aspects, expenses, are all things that are built right into the solution. If we go into looking at issues, any issues associated with this account, now I can come up and pull up and look at an issues list. So any issues I have, and this account has actually 2 projects that is associated with it that actually has different issues associated with them, and then we can track those issues as we need to. So we can actually edit the item, we can actually put relevant information on progress, status, the nature of it, categorizing of those things, and even put workload on it if it's a significant issue that we have to actually account for from a resource management perspective, if it's something that's going to take a significant amount of time for our resources to deal with. On the opportunity side of things, once this converts to an opportunity, are there any opportunities associated with SharePoint Communications? And it looks like yes, we have a couple that we've lost, one that we've already won, and 2 that we're actually potentially working on right now, all associated with this one particular account. And in here, for example, if I'm working on a particular opportunity, this opportunity record allow me to track things like where we are in the process, what sales stage are we at, what the estimated close dates are, what type of opportunity it might be, and the way you categorize an opportunity so that we can categorize it and actually size it and look at the estimated revenue and the different probabilities that you may want to factor into your sales process. So all the things you want to track about opportunities are available to you in here as well. And the same thing holds true if we're tracking about looking at orders, sales contacts, who are my contacts for SharePoint Communications. And I can see that I got 2 contacts here right now that I can get to and look at their records as well. So the key is it's all connected, all associated, really giving us a cohesive view of that account and all the information associated with it. Okay? So if you wanted to get to these things from their own perspective, right, and not look at accounts, we could go to a set of account records. We can go to a full list of opportunities and just look at our opportunities. I might want to have a set of quote documents and things that were out there. So if I have proposals or quote forms out there, I can actually track all those things that might be associated with those. Any other documents that may be available to us that should be in there from a sales perspective, maybe like document templates. But here's a sales process overview, or maybe a proposal template that you'd want to use for good standards as you go on through. And then the information we're capturing here, because it's all in one common repository, we can go look at things like a pipeline dashboard. So we can look at the pipeline as far as opportunities that we have. How many of them are actually at a 60% stage versus in just the early qualified lead stage? How many do we have in by stage? How are we doing by region on leads? And other things like that. Obviously not a lot of demo data in here, but the idea of the granularity of these would increase as you get more and more data into the system. And by the way, our charts are all configurable, so if you wanted to change the data elements and the chart types and the colors, it's configurable from menu selection, much like you would an Excel chart. It's not having to write codes or create new web parts in order to do that. Very easy for our customers to do that. On the reporting side of things, notice, for those of you that might be familiar with us in the project management realm, there's now a list of reports that are added when you build this app that are more related to this sales and CRM-ish type of approach. So account-based information on different account slices on through from an account management perspective, different roll-ups on expenses and things like that that we do from an expense management perspective. You know, what are some of the things on the leads? You know, totally, what are the things that are active? What leads have been disqualified? Opportunities, looking at those different slices. And then even on the project side of things, because this is dovetailing with eventually these opportunities becoming projects, if I want to look at projects, we add to this mix grouping and totaling these things by account so we can see how different accounts are doing. Like that Fairfield example, they had 4 or 5 projects in there, right? What is that? What is the activity in total? You know, what kind of revenue are we bringing in? What kind of costs are we incurring? What kind of progress are we making on the projects? Looked at them by account. Okay, so more of an account management focus from this perspective. Okay. Now, other features and functionality may not be done by the salespeople themselves, even though it's PSA or professional service automation related. So, for example, the billing community may have other things that are associated with them. So remember we looked at the associated items for orders and invoices and things like that. Well, here's where you could actually go into the billing group, for example, and look at overall, say, let me look at the invoices, for example. And in here, I only have one invoice that's considered my invoice. I could go in here and say, let me just look at the unpaid invoices. And probably not realistic, but all of my invoices are paid. So obviously I'm in good stead because I'm doing a good job of collecting my invoices. The key here is that these things are available, either associated with accounts or projects, or just associated in a total list here so I can look at all my invoices in total and manage them. And the same thing holds true with orders. You know, as I look through orders, as you process, we can automate this and put these in electronic forms so that when an order comes through, and we can place those things, so again, security in place. The idea is that you can start billing them to specific accounts, have pre-populated information based upon the account you select from your database, add items based from your different charge codes and different products or SKUs, and then you can attach any documentation to these things like POs or signed SOWs and things like that as you go on through. And these orders can then, information can then be reported on since it's in our database and be easily translated into invoices once this stuff is delivered. Okay. And then I guess from my workplace perspective, since it's personal to Steve, his concept in here of actually doing expense reports. So the idea here is things that are on a personal nature. His timesheet would be in here, his expense reports. So for example, here it doesn't look like there's any created, but if I went to create a new one, for example, it would then bring up another form where I can put my name in. I can associate these expenses with different accounts. If, let's say, I chose SharePoint, and then it would then cascade down and give me an example of all the available projects to charge expenses against, so I can charge it against a particular thing. And then I can keep adding different rows and line items in here as I go on through from my different expense types, etc. And then because it's all tracked within our system, it actually is going to flow towards the total cost of this particular project. So once again, pretty nice functionality That's a net add to what we're already doing in EPM Live with a lot of folks on the project and portfolio management side, but providing you, a lot of rich capabilities from a sales and CRM perspective right within here. Now, let's talk about Salesforce.com and our integration with it. Since it has such a big footprint and such popularity in the marketplace today, a lot of folks are already entrenched in it. They're already using it. They're making good use of it from a sales perspective on the upfront side and taking it through that piece of the overall life cycle continuum. So for example, if I come into Salesforce, here I am in their sales community where I'm actually looking at the traditional things that we're looking at: leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities. Our integration with Salesforce actually allows us to bidirectionally share this information. So for example, if your sales team is adding that information into here, our integration will allow the leads, contacts, opportunities, account information flow to EPM Live, and changes that are made over there, additions that are made over in EPM Live would come back over here to Salesforce as well. Obviously, Salesforce is considered a best-of-breed application, but what we're adding to the mix is our additional capabilities on that project, portfolio, and resource management perspective of things. Notice here on Jason's homepage, we have a dashboard that's all project related. Project and work order related, how we're doing on different portfolios on a budget versus cost perspective. How much work do we have by portfolio? It looks like we have a lot in the product innovation area. What are we doing here on project types, and how is the distribution of the types of projects we have really doing in this mix here? So the idea is that we have a lot of different information that are coming from us from a project management perspective that originated here from EPM Live. So for example, if I went into EPM Force, which is our addition into SharePoint and to Salesforce, notice that we have menus here that are very akin to our project management things. We've got portfolios, projects, tasks, issues, reports, and other settings and things like that we want to have in here. So we've got a dashboard in here, etc. But one of the things that we do is we link these things to accounts and projects. For example, the list of projects that we have in here would be the same as we would have over in EPM Live by the sync that we do between the two tools. For example, if I go into the Xbox project, which is being managed and run and executed in EPM Live, you'll see that we've added a lot of detail in here that you would have from a project management perspective. Things like your budget, how much work is being planned, what's the cost of the project, tracking things like actual costs, etc., looking at things like percent complete, and capturing all that project management related information in here that typically isn't carried in Salesforce.com. So for example, the other thing that I think is really strong that we add is that we add in here a number of buttons which equate to capabilities in EPM Live. So for example, if I was going to participate from a sales perspective and I wanted to make comments, what this is actually going to do is launch the comments feature in EPM Live and allow me to participate in this project from a commentary perspective. So for example, I would get a comments dialog in here that would allow me to participate without ever having to leave Salesforce. So for example here, I don't know, appreciate the help, or something to that regard, and post those things. I can have as many different comments in here in this thread as makes sense and have this information share back and forth to EPM Live. What about things like resource planning, kind of things that are done in a project and portfolio management solution? I can actually come in here and take a look at the resource planner, and it's opening up the resource plan for this project from EPM Live, and actually opening up and showing me who's been assigned to this project and to what degree they're expected to work on this project, and also showing me the remaining availabilities across this. Once again, I can do all the planning I've done, and we've covered this in other webinars, but the resource planning side of things, planning at FTEs or hours or percents, we can start doing the resource management aspect and get visibility into that from Salesforce if that's where we're actually doing most of our work and spending most of our time. The same thing holds true with building schedules, our work planner, our cost planner and budgeter. Those are things that can all be done here and build budgets and costs and track actuals and all those things and have the totals of this type of information from a budget and actual perspective be what flows into Salesforce from a total perspective so that we can render this, and even though it's happening and the system of record is EPM Live, it's actually giving us good visibility into that. Okay. The other key thing here is that it does really flow back into accounts. So for example, if I went back to the sales community in Salesforce.com and went into the accounts category, let me pick an account here, Pool Inc. Notice that this account is now totaling project-related information from EPM Live. Part of our integration is giving you the budget information. It's tracking the total actual cost to date. It's giving us stuff like ROI percentage. Tell me how many active projects there are, how many active issues there may be on this particular project, etc. So the key is this is the kind of information that traditionally isn't kept in the CRM system, but EPM Live, which is equipped to handle and execute on this type of work, is now sharing this data so people from an account management perspective here in Salesforce can actually use that data in a way that makes sense to them. Okay. You know, we just did about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, we did a demonstration webinar of the Salesforce.com integration in detail and had a little aspect of how technically it works. So if you go into our webinars section onto our website at epmlive.com, you can actually see what was discussed about this integration in more detail in a pre-recorded video that's out there for you today. Okay. So the key here is that you can either use the capabilities that are in EPM Live natively for professional services along with project and portfolio management, or you can integrate it with some things you're existing or already doing within Salesforce.com. Let's go back to the slides, and let's just wrap up a little bit on the benefits side of things. Overall benefits, EPM Live is really providing the most complete SharePoint application for just overall work management, whether it be resources, projects, portfolios, sales, services, whatever it may be. It's very broad in its nature, and as you explore our app marketplace, you'll see that. We provide pre-built and easily configurable solutions to manage your process end-to-end. We can manage all types of work in one system, depending on the nature of your interaction and what you consider your system of record or your home or the solution that you live in. And we provide easy integration with other best-of-breed solutions like Salesforce.com. Also, because we're built in SharePoint, there's some additional potential savings beyond just the efficiencies of managing all this stuff together in an integrated fashion. One, if you're already using SharePoint, you can leverage what you already own by saving money by just incrementally adding to what you've already invested in from a collaboration and content management platform in SharePoint. Also, as your users adopt this, because it is an incremental add and they're familiar with navigation principles and other things and how to get around and function in SharePoint, the adoption risk of them having to learn yet another solution, another technology, it definitely reduces the adoption risk. You know, obviously we would increase the value of your current investment in SharePoint because we'd be adding so many more capabilities than the traditional content management and general collaboration that people typically use it for today. Also, if you do have this in-house, you probably have skill sets internally in IT for both SharePoint and SQL Server on the back end, meaning you are going to be in control of your own destiny and not be dependent on a third-party vendor like us for every little change you want to make to the solution, as often happens with proprietary technologies. And I would say this, even though integration is a possibility with us, if that's what you want to do, there is an opportunity to retire multiple silos or solutions that we talked about earlier in the presentation and then really provide you the cost savings of maybe reducing maintenance and total cost of ownership there. If you want to try us out, you can just go to epmlive.com and you can ask for a free trial. You can go look at our App Store through the Apps section in here. You can also go into the Events section and check out the webinar on Salesforce.com if you want to look at that in a little bit more detail. This one will be available in a recording as well very short, probably within the day. So you can either visit our website. If you want more information from us, you can email us at info@epmlive.com or call us at the 855-EPM Live number. And if there's anything you want to talk to me about specifically, feel free to email me at jpatterson@epmlive.com. I'd like to thank you for spending the time with us today. Hopefully you saw something new and the value and capabilities of what EPM Live can bring to the table by adding sales, CRM, and professional services automation features into the solution. Once again, have a great day.